Hello, everybody. I'm glad you're here today. I'm going to get right to it. This is a dream that my dad had on December 10th, 2022. And if you've ever wondered what the afterlife is going to be like, this is an illustration of it, in my opinion. I have spent time in prayer on this, and I would encourage you to do the same. It's a very interesting dream. It is a glimpse of what is waiting for us after death. That's what I think. And what you're doing now matters in your life. So let's get to it. I'll bring it to you December 10th, 2022 or thereabouts. He couldn't remember. He didn't tell me right away about this dream. He sat on it for a while. So here's how it begins. My dad was sitting at a desk in a row of people from front to back, like a classroom. And a man was in the front row with an envelope in his hand, and he was waving it way up high. And he handed it to the first person in the row, and he said, "Hold it, and then hand it to the person behind you." And so that process began. The first person, and then he handed it back and handed it back. And then it came to my dad, and he took it. And when he had it in his hand, the teacher yelled, "Stop." So my dad opened up the envelope and read what it said. And it read, this is what it said. "You are now selected to be the king." So when my dad read that out loud, the person behind him said, "Darn, I wanted to be the one. I was one person away from being selected." One person away from being selected. So everyone in the class went into this other room, and it was like there was an archway that led into a different room, but this was like a holding room. And the teacher said, "We will prepare for the ceremony." Let me say that again. We will prepare for the ceremony. And so my dad was standing in the front of the archway. Everyone else was behind him. And a man brought a red robe and put it on it and tied it. And then that man went into the other room, and he announced, "The king is here and will take his place on his throne." So my dad went into this other room. He walked through the archway into the other room, and everyone else was behind him. The room that he walked into was pure white, solid white, glistening pure white. There was a gold throne right in the center of the room, and flanking the throne were two rows of men. They were like dignitaries. That's the best he could describe them. They were like dignitaries. So my dad came out and stood there all alone, and in front of the throne, and he sat down. And then at the back of the room, this man came out and said, "The feast is now prepared for you. You can all come in the room and partake." So everyone went into this back room, through the white room, into another room, and my dad went last. Everyone else went, he let everyone else go first, and he went last. And when he walked into that room, y'all, it was like loaded. It was a feast. The tables were loaded with food, all kinds of great food. And the atmosphere was so joyful and happy. And there were all kinds of food, and people were visiting. It was just a super experience. Amazing. Then the day ended. And in the dream, it was morning again, and he was in that classroom again. And in the classroom, same teacher at the beginning, and it began again. The teacher said the exact same thing. He had the envelope, and he said, pass it back to the person behind you. The envelope came to my dad, and he took it, and handed it to the person behind him, and the teacher yelled, "Stop." And the person read the same message that was in that envelope, that he would be king for the day. They all went into that same preliminary room with the same archway. The same robe was put on this man. But when they walked into the throne room, it was dark, it was gray, it was dingy. Same man came out at the back. There were no dignitaries either. There were no dignitaries standing there. And the man at the back came out, and he announced that the feast was ready for all to partake. But when they went into that dining hall, y'all, it was just scraps of food, hardly any food. It was dark. It was depressing. It was oppressive. There wasn't any happiness or visiting. People were trying to find bits of food, but were having a hard time. It was just not a good experience. And that was the end of the dream. So, I'll just shoot straight with you. I'm not really good at interpreting. I think this dream interprets itself a lot. I think it has a lot of understanding. I do think it has to deal with what kind of reward awaits us. For those who are kings in this world and following the king of this world, Satan, I think what awaits them is the darkness. But I think it's going to be even worse than what this dream depicted. But I think that's what this dream is saying. For those of us who are believers and followers, we will reign with Christ. Scripture supports that. And it will be a joyous feast, a good, wonderful time. We will have robes put on us. And y'all, we got a lot of good things waiting for us. Y'all, I don't know a lot of, I don't know what the dignitaries were. Why were there dignitaries standing on each side of my dad's throne? Who were they? What did that represent? I do not know. Also, what did it mean when my dad got the envelope and announced that he was king, and the guy behind him said, "Oh, I was just one person off from being selected king"? What is that? Why did he say that? Was it I don't know. I mean, I can have theories, but I'm not sure. But I do think there was significance to that. We live, I was reading in 2 Corinthians 4 and 5 this week, and our brother Paul says to focus on the unseen, not the seen. That our goal is spiritual, not physical. And I think this dream has to do with that, y'all. Sometimes in this life, especially this time of year, the holidays, it can be really difficult emotionally for some of us who are grieving or who are alone. We must always stay razor focused on what is unseen. We must always look to the cross and stand in the hope that there'll be a day that we walk through an archway with our robes on, and we sit on a throne, and we hear, "Well done, good and faithful servant." That day's coming. Just keep going, y'all. Endure. Endure to the end and keep the faith. That's all I got. This is Gina Lima Charlie. I'm out.